That's really that 24-hour-a-day care. Rehabilitation, we talked about that. That's typically after surgeries or falls. And what that comes with is rehabilitation comes with physical therapy services. Another thing that people don't understand about physical therapy services is, let's say you do break a hip. Break a hip, you go to the hospital, and then you have to go to rehab. So you only receive physical therapy services as long as you are continuing to make progress. So if you say, I don't want to go to physical therapy today, I'm just not into it, and you do that for a week, they cut you from physical therapy. You don't just start back up, you're done. Does that make sense? So if you ever are in rehab, anything ever happens to you, go to physical therapy. It stinks, it's very hard. They're there trying to help you. I know you may not want it, but it's there to help you, because if you do plateau, they will cut you and then your rehab stay is over. That's why I say you have up to 100 days in rehab. You don't always get 100. So if you say, I'm not going to physical therapy, you're going to be cut after about 7 days. If even that long, the government will stop paying, because you're not rehabbing. You're just living there then. Does that make sense? A lot of people don't know that, so that's important to understand.
I have a question about the,
Sure.
you know, you were talking about assisted living and skilled nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know about there are 7 categories, 2 of them you have to meet to qualify for this. I have long-term care insurance.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is though, see, I don't see myself 24 hours sitting in a small room if I only need help, maybe do 2 out of those 7 actions or whatever, you
Yep.
know. So could I stay in assisted living and have somebody come in and give me that, what's called long-term care, but it's only, you know, maybe they come in 2 times a day to dress me, put me in a wheelchair, and in the evening they'll come back. Is that possible to stay in assisted, or would I have to move into that skilled nursing area?
All right, how many people have long-term care insurance? Okay, so they muddy the waters a little bit.
Okay.
So you're saying 2 activities. So remember we said ADLs, activities of daily living? The insurance company, as soon as you start using those services, so let's just say you're at home and you say, I'm not comfortable showering anymore, like I want someone there to help me just to make sure I'm okay. If you start using those services with your long-term care insurance company, that starts the clock. Now, most insurance companies have a cap that they will pay per day, per year, per month, per lifetime.
Right.
So if you only have a 2-year policy or a 3-year policy, that clock starts when you start using it. That's why they say 2, because they want to be able to start coming in when you have 2. Assisted living technically is you can't do 3 ADLs,
Okay.
not 2. So if you wanted to stay in your home and you have long-term care insurance, you're going to want to wait to use that long-term care insurance until you absolutely have to. If you need the minimum amount of work of help, I would say that you probably want to spend money on your own to help. So if you moved, I'm just going to say, if you moved into our community with the independent living section of our building, you can have care come in. It comes in from the outside.
Oh, you could bring
Sure.
somebody from the inside, but you could also take somebody internally, right? You have personnel to do that?
We don't have personnel. If you live in independent living, you're independent living.
You can do what
We
you
do not
want.
have people that will come over and help you. Does that make sense? So if you need help, those ADLs, that's when you move to assisted living. That's kind of how this works here. Or you can have services brought in, you're just paying for them. It depends on what you need. This isn't necessarily a cut and dry situation. Medication, I'm on 4 blood pressure medicines, and my girlfriend does my pills once a week. Because I will forget, I'll forget to do them, I'll forget to put my other medicine in there, that kind of thing. That's called med management. Technically, I'm missing an ADL. Does that make sense? So, you know, they'll charge you for 4 hours for someone to come in to put your pills in their container, and then you're paying for 4 hours. So they end up like figuring out what else you're gonna do. That's where the housekeeping and the errand running and that kind of stuff comes into play, because they're there for a minimum of 4 hours. Does this make sense? Once you're in assisted living, you won't need to have additional help come in. That help is there. That's when your long-term care policy really comes into play, because it pays for you to live there. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Did that help some others too? I know this is a lot of information. I'm just trying to keep it simple for everybody. So in the state of Michigan, there are two main types of payment for what a retirement community. Does this make sense? So it doesn't have to have care. It doesn't have to be a continuing care retirement community. It could just be a retirement community. So I know of several retirement communities that all they have is independent living. They have houses and apartments, and they charge an entrance fee. How many people have heard about entrance fees, right? They charge an entrance fee and they charge a monthly service fee. So the entrance fee is you would sell your home, and a portion of your home sale would go to the community to pay the entrance fee. That basically covers their capital costs. Does that make sense? Then your monthly service fee covers what it costs to run that community for 1 month. So you're paying two separate fees to try to cover the capital expenditures, so that's paint, carpet, roof, all that kind of stuff, and then your monthly service fee. That's called a type C. What that also means is that if you live in independent living and you go to assisted living, you will pay the higher rate for assisted living. If you go from assisted living to memory care, you'll pay a higher rate for memory care. So you pay for the care you need. Does that make sense? Okay. So in this market, there's a couple of these, but nothing really big. The biggest one that most people know is Fox Run. Fox Run's a type C, where you pay an entrance fee, you pay a monthly service fee. Your entrance fee is a portion of that is refunded to you when you decide to leave. So that's what that is. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. In my mind, a lot of places that do this don't explain this very well. Like you say, why do you charge an entrance fee? Because that's what it takes to get in the community. But what's it for? To get in the community. No, it's to pay off capital expenditures. I make that very clear because in a rental, we still have, so we're a rental, okay? This building is a rental building. We still have to pay off the capital expenditures. What we do is we just charge a little more per month for that. So instead of you selling your home and giving us a large portion of that proceed, you're just paying a little bit by month. Does that make sense? So that's how our model works. So if you were to rent an apartment doesn't have dining rooms, it doesn't have card rooms, it doesn't have sitting rooms, it doesn't have libraries, it doesn't have a wellness center, those types of things. All of those things, we have to pay for that, and that's where that capital expenditure comes in. That make sense? So do you pay a little bit more to live in a retirement community? Yeah, you do, but you get more for it, if that makes sense. So the type D is rental. It's rarely a CCRC, it's rarely a continuing care retirement community. It's actually really rare that this is the contract that we have here, that you have all these medical services included in a rental community. There's probably a dozen of these in the state of Michigan, if that. Mostly for-profit in the rental world. For this market, it's not for profit because we felt like it was a missing service. In 1978, nobody else was here. It was just us. And it started out as a rental product and it just never changed. We feel that we serve that section of the market and we do it well. So we stayed with it. So there's no entrance fee, it's all rental. Typically they have smaller common space in rentals. We also don't follow that norm. These are large common space areas, probably because it is a continuing care retirement community, so there's income coming from assisted living and memory care and skilled as well, which helps this model work better financially, and that's why we have large community spaces. If you go to a typical rental, they don't have a lot of community center space. And then maybe they have assisted living, they typically don't have skilled, so again, that's another thing that's very different about here. But like if you go down, is this 28th Street, right? If you go down 28th Street, there's a couple different places. 23rd?
Yeah, 23.
23, okay. Is it 23rd Street or 23?
23.
Mile.
Oh, 23 Mile. Sorry, we don't have those in South Carolina.
But it's also M23.
So when you're driving down the road, you pass several different retirement communities on your way here. Most of them fall into those models where they don't have assisted living or don't have skilled nursing. or they're only assisted living, they don't have independent living. So you really gotta kind of do your homework a little bit about where you're looking and where you wanna be, all right? Does that make sense, everybody? All right, am I confusing everybody? Clear as mud? Okay. So when you think about things that are right for you, here's what I wanna start with. After 35 years, I had a lady ask me on Tuesday, she goes, so when is really the right time to do this? All right, well, I don't want to tell you this, but it's different for everyone. And what I mean by that is it is legitimately not a financial decision. It's not sometimes an emotional decision. I had a guy tell me once, he lived on an acre of land. He had a ride-it mower. I call it a tractor, but farmers say that's not a tractor. That's a riding lawnmower. So he had a riding lawnmower and he used to cut his grass, loved cutting the grass. And then it started to become a little bit of a burden, right? Like you gotta get out there and you gotta cut the grass, whether you want to or not. So one day his tractor broke and he went to the store and he realized these things cost like $5,000. And he goes, why am I buying a tractor for $5,000? I don't even like cutting the grass anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And that's the reason he chose a retirement community. There's some people that said, you know, like, my heater went bad in my house and I had an awful experience trying to have it replaced in my house, and I don't ever want to have to do that again because I probably need a roof, I probably need a new kitchen, I probably need these other things. I don't want to deal with it, I'm moving to a retirement community. Some people say, my parents lived in a retirement community and they really liked it, so I want to move to a retirement community and I want to do it early. It literally runs the gamut of, I really want to and my kids made me do it. That's literally how these decisions are made. So typically it is the straw that broke the camel's back theory. You finally got fed up with something and said, that's it, I'm moving. That's how most of us make decisions anyway, right? You're kind of forced into it. Like you keep a car so long and then something really big breaks and you go, that's it, I'm fixing it and then I'm getting rid of it, which goes against everything because you just fixed it. Right? But that's what we do. We say we're fixing it and we're getting rid of it. So that's really kind of how that model works there. Biggest one is budget. What can you afford? If you can't afford it, don't bother looking at it. We have a lot of people tell us Fox Run's too expensive. Why would I even look at it? Fox Run's also massive. So unless that's something you really want to do, it's like moving to the Villages in Florida. That's massive. You know, is that your idea of retirement community? I don't know. Could be somebody's. It's not mine. Lifestyle and recreation. What do they offer you for free? So, you know, there's more than just bingo. Although I really do like bingo. They were playing it at Chick-fil-A this morning. Love bingo. But you want to make sure that there's speaking engagements. You want to make sure that there's intellectual things that are happening, learning experiences, trips, those types of things. You want to make sure all those things are happening. You want to make sure that dining is not a meal. It's a dining experience. That you're enjoying the dining experience like going to a restaurant. The location, obviously you're going to want a good location. What's the first thing in real estate? Location, 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 right? So you want to make sure that you're somewhere where you may not have to change your doctors. You may not have to go to a different church, that your friends might live nearby. And if they're not, you're going to have a plan for that. All right? This one's always really fun for me. Rational versus emotional. Most people think that moving to a retirement community is a rational decision. You all agree with that? Oh, I like it. Tell me why, Miss Barb.
Well, if you love your house and you don't wanna leave, this is my situation. I still can manage it.
Mhm.
I have 5 acres. And it's a lot of work, but I love being outdoors.
Mhm.
So I come to these things to gear myself up for when I have to come here.
Yeah.
My mother was here in the 90s.
Okay.
And all you had was the apartments,
Okay.
you know.
So Miss Barb said she lives on 5 acres. She really enjoys taking care of the house and that kind of thing. And Miss Barb comes here to make sure that she knows what's going on. I think that's great. That's a great example. So when I talk about rational versus emotional, the rational part of this is you could say, when you decide to leave your house, you could say, okay, I've been to these seminars, I get this many meals at this place, I get this much square footage, and this is how much I pay, right? It's like a spreadsheet. And you go, this is the cost per square foot, right? That's a rational decision. The truth is, it's 25% rational. It's 75% emotional. Leaving the house isn't even the biggest emotional part.
Yeah.
The biggest emotional part is when you walk into a retirement community, like you walked in the front door here, how did it feel? I've walked in retirement communities in Florida, I won't say the name, the entrance fees start at $1 million, and you walk in and everything is marble. You know, and like, I sit there and go, wow, like this is really scary. A lot of people go and they go, yep, this is what I want. So that's the emotional part. Everybody's different. And so when you walk into a building, were you greeted well? Did you find parking okay? Are the grounds taken care of? How is the food? How is the presentation? Do you like me? Because right now I'm the face of this organization. So if you don't like me, you're gonna go, well, I don't like him. I'm not moving there. You know, or if you met somebody when you came in and you go, I didn't think they were very nice to me. My mom would do that. We're Irish. Who's Daly, right? You want to hear a really good joke? Do you know what Irish Alzheimer's is? It's when you forget everything but your grudges.
Oh boy, is that
That's
true?
my mom. Yep. That's my mom. My mom went to a sandwich shop to buy a hoagie for my grandfather when he was basically on hospice at home. And she would get a hoagie like every Tuesday from this guy. But one day, I guess, like he just kind of threw it together. My mom's like, that's Daddy's hoagie. I'm never going there again. She never went there again. She was like, that was it. So, but it's an emotional decision. How does it feel when you come in? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And then the last one is care needs and peace of mind. So do you need the care? Most of you will sit here and go, like Ms. Barb, you said, I'm fine right now, right? So you don't need care, but you're gonna wanna make sure that it's there. So we all know in the back of our minds, at some point in time, we're gonna need care. So if you move to somewhere, like you rent an apartment, or you move to a 55 plus, or you stay home, just make sure you know where the care is. The next one that I say is peace of mind is, you know, a lot of people say like, James, this is expensive. I don't know if I really want to live here or not. What I think people have a hard time getting their arms around is you're used to living in a home and you're used to the expenses that come along with a home. When you move to a 55 plus or an apartment building or whatever it may be, there's expenses that they have to carry that we don't always think of. So if the roof goes bad, we have to pay for that, or the apartment building has to pay for that. And that's where some of those costs come up when you're looking at how much it costs to live in a retirement community or to live in a condo or whatever it may be. Does that make sense? And to me, you're ready, I'm gonna put my salesman hat on. To me, peace of mind means that if something was ever to happen to you, the additional levels of care are here, or they're at the community that you choose if you don't choose here. That you know that that everything's going to be taken care of. You feel comfortable about where you're going to live. Does that make sense? So it's a peace of mind. So some services we provide, maintenance-free living, so it's snow removal, grounds and landscaping. This is where this becomes the self-serving portion of this presentation, just so you know. If your garbage disposal breaks, we replace it or fix it for free. If your refrigerator breaks, we replace it or fix it for free. Does this make sense? So it is 100% maintenance free. If your doorknob stops working, we replace it or fix it for free. Meal packages are available in multiple dining venues. We go to, we'll hit that on the next slide, but there's 4 of those. Wellness classes and fitness classes. A lot of people come to us and say, I really want to work on strength and balance. How do I do that? We have someone here that works with you for those particular needs. Strength and balance are the big ones we hear. Activity spaces for social gatherings and monthly outings. We have people here that their only job is activities. That's all they're responsible for, is to make sure that there's something for the residents to do, which is really fun. We have an all-inclusive pricing plan if you choose to have it. That means that all the utilities are included. So you pay one bill per month, that's it. That bill includes heat, cable, Wi-Fi, water, electric, all included. Housekeeping is included, and 1 meal a day would be included. So if you came here and said, I don't want to cook anymore, I don't want to clean anymore, I don't want to write 10 checks anymore, I just want to live here and I want to be happy, that's what you're looking for, is that all-inclusive rate. Some amenities, we have a chapel, so we are still affiliated with the Presbyterian Church. We don't give them money, they don't give us money, but we run it with the values of the Presbyterian Church. Does that make sense? Fitness center with HydroWorks tub. So that tub is actually a tub that you get in, and there's a treadmill on the bottom. So you hear people talk about walking against the resistance of water. So that's what that is, to help you build strength and balance. It's really cool, actually. Large activity spaces, we have libraries with an S. walkable grounds and courtyards. We have billiard rooms and game rooms. The sensory room with aviary, they're in memory care, so that our memory care is actually pretty advanced, that there's a lot to do for the residents in memory care. And we're especially trained to work with those folks. 3 dining venues, that's supposed to be 4. So Marguerite's and Cameron Cafe are actually in the building that's just over here. Jim's Grill is in this building. It's back just on the other side when you come in here. And then this restaurant actually isn't even on that list. This is where all the residents from Harbor Inn and this apartment building right here eat. So this is how it's set: normal linen tablecloths, linen napkins, waiter waitress service, and then it is buffet style here as well. So all levels of care are here. We went through that. Here's something that's really good. The Benevolent Care Program. So does anybody know what Benevolent Care Program is? All right, so when you move in here, you're on fixed assets, right? Fixed income, fixed assets. We look at your income and we look at your assets and we run an actuarial to it and say, okay, how long, if Mary is moving in and Mary's 82 years old, how long does the actuarial studies say Mary will live? How much money does Mary have in independent living, assuming that she would then go to assisted living? So we run this calculation, we run this financial calculation for you. If you're approved, which most people, if you own your own home, you're pretty much approved. Most people, if you come in, you say, well, my grandma lived or my mom lived to 90, I'm only gonna live to 90. Well, what happens if you live to 95 or 96 and you outlived your assets due to no fault of your own? We will never ask you to leave. So I pay in my paycheck, every single paycheck I pay towards a benevolent care fund. That's how much I believe in this. So that if someone does run out of money and they've lived here for 10 years or 15 years or however long, and they outlive their assets, that they never have to leave. It's very important to me personally. It's important to a lot of people personally. So all of that money comes from donations. It's from philanthropy. But we will make sure that you never have to leave. That's another thing that for-profits don't have. They do not have benevolent care funds. We do. So it means that you outlived your assets. You didn't give any of your money to your crazy Uncle Larry. It means that you don't have any owned properties. So whatever land or houses you have would be sold, and that you meet the Medicaid criteria. But you would not be asked to leave. So this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we have ranch homes, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They start at 1,100 square foot and they have 1 or 2 car garages. Those are $3,780. That is the all-inclusive price. So if you pay $3,780 a month, that includes all your utilities, your gas, electric, cable, Wi-Fi, water, sewer, housekeeping, and meals. Everything is included in that. If you don't want that package, that number does go down a little bit. You'll have to talk to someone here about that if that's something that's important to you. Most people choose the all-inclusive package. Harbor Inn Apartments, again, that's the building that we're in here. They have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments with patios and balconies. They range between 700 and 900 square foot, and that's $2,653 a month. Again, that is all utilities, gas, electric, water, cable, Wi-Fi, housekeeping, and meals. So there's really not much more that you'd ever have to pay for. Well, there's really nothing else you'd have to pay for, I guess, really, out of that. And that's $2,653. Now, the big question we get is what is the second person? So the second person doesn't pay the same amount. They pay, you guys, $250 for a second person. So, if you moved into an apartment, I think this is the 1-bedroom rate. Is it the 1-bedroom rate, right? $2,653, and a couple live there. It's only $250 more, and that person also gets all the meals and housekeeping and use of everything as well. So I've done some research in the market in this area. You could find an apartment here for less than that, but I mean like an apartment, like in an apartment complex. And it might be $2,200 a month, maybe, but you're not getting everything that you would get here. And so some people say to me, like, well, James, if it's $2,200, like, I'm not trying to split hairs here, but that's $400 a month. should I live there or should I live here? It's totally up to you. It's a personal experience. I just say if you're gonna live there, make sure that you have the ability to socialize. So we talked about like the senior center. Make sure you know that if you need care, how are you gonna get it? And if you need long-term care, where are you gonna go for it? Does that make sense? I realize we're not for everyone. I get it. So if you want to become a resident, it's actually really easy. This is a month-to-month rental. So there's no upfront fee, except there's a deposit fee for $1,785. It's kind of like is that refundable, by the way? No? Okay, so that's like the paint and carpet if you decide to leave is really what that is. You submit an application, you select your new home, and you secure a move-in date. We also have people that work with you to help you downsize. So it's a senior company that's all they do is they help you downsize and figure out what you want to do with your belongings. They also have a service that if you have things that you don't know what to do with, that they sell them in a consignment shop for you. So you actually can make some money back, and they tell you what's worth keeping and what isn't, so that's helpful. And then they move you and they unpack you as well. And it is a lot more affordable than you would think it is. Most people could move here and use those services for about $5,000. All right, that's the end. How was it?
It was awesome.
Very good, very
Good, thank you.
It was.